Hey third graders, welcome to Module 2, Lesson 8. Today we're going to be solving word problems that want you to compare two things, add, subtract, or multiply. You're going to have to figure out what operation you're going to have to do. We have three types of problems that we're going to look at today. The first type is going to be when two things are being compared. When you compare something, you're trying to figure out what's the same or what's different about them. Some key words that you might see if you're trying to compare something is if something is heavier or longer or wider. And then usually it'll ask something like how much heavier, how much longer, how much wider, how much taller, how much shorter. But you're going to hear that ER at the end, and then you might see some kind of how much in front of that. So if we're looking at the problem of I have a bag of Takis, which is 45 grams, and I have a bag of Flaming Hot Cheetos, which weighs 68 grams, how much more do my Takis weigh than my Flaming Hot Cheetos? So I could even ask it as how much heavier are my Cheetos than my Takis? So how much heavier? So I'm comparing the two. How are they different in their weight? So what are you going to do to solve something like this? How would you figure this problem out of finding out how much heavier the Cheetos are than the Takis? Try to figure it out on your own first and then press play when you're ready to check your answer. Your action is going to be to count up, which is a way to add. So using your number line, you're going to put all the information that you have. I know that Takis are going to come first on my number line because 45 is less than 68. So I'm going to put my 45 grams here. Now my Flaming Hot Cheetos are 68 grams. 68 grams. And I need to know what is this space in between here to tell me how much heavier one is than the other. Now, we've been practicing drawing the number lines starting from 0 all the way to 60 for when we are counting time. But when we're adding something like this or subtracting, we're going to be using numbers bigger than 60. And honestly, I don't need to know the numbers that come before 45 in this problem because really I'm trying to figure out how much is there between 45 and 68. So I'm curious about all these numbers in here that are invisible. I don't need to know about these ones. I don't need to know about those ones. So I can leave this as what's called an open number line where I only write in the numbers that I need and I leave the rest invisible. So I'm going to count from 45 to 68, and I'm going to start by counting by fives. So I'm going to go 45, 50, 55, 60, 65. Okay, so to keep track, I want you to write your amounts that you're jumping above to keep track. So far we've jumped 5, 10, 15, 20 spaces on the number line. And we've started from 45. So 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 66, 67, 68. So I jumped 3 more ones to get to 68. So how many jumps did I have to make? So I had to jump 5, 10, 15, 20, 21, 22, 23. So if I was going to write an equation, I would write it as 45 plus my unknown equals 68, and our unknown was 23. So finally, you need to write a sentence that explains this problem. So you would write the Cheetos are 23 grams heavier. Difficult. difficult to write down at the bottom. Okay, the second type of problem that you guys will encounter will require you to subtract. You'll know that you need to subtract because of some keywords that you're going to hear in your problem, or in the certain way that you'll visualize the problem when you realize that you have how much you have at the end, but you're not sure how much you began with, or another number that was added to make the number at the end. Some keywords that you might hear are less, fewer, minus, take away, or difference. Here we have our scenario of, let's call this little guy Pablo. Pablo, he went to Fantastics and he wanted to ride on the bumper cars, but he had to be 42 inches tall. And unfortunately, he was 14 inches too short. How tall is Pablo? So if you were doing this problem on your own, you could create a picture to help you figure this out. You could also do a tape diagram to show your unknown. So I know that all together it's 42 inches. I know that he's 14 inches too short. And I'm even going to label it here. So this right here is my unknown. And actually, I meant to move that up. I apologize. So 42 inches is the total. Take away 14. So I have 42, take away 14 equals my mystery number. Okay, solve that right now. And when you're ready to see the answer, press play. Our answer to 42 inches take away 14 inches is, I know that the end result is that he has to be 42 inches tall, but I know that he's 14 less than the requirement. So less means that I'm going backwards on my number line this time instead of forwards. So that means that I'm subtracting. So I'm going to take away 14 by jumping back 14. So just like the last problem where I don't need to know all the numbers over here because I don't need them to solve my problem, I'm going to use my open number line to just jump back and write the numbers that I need. If I take away 2, and I'm going to keep track of how many I'm jumping back here so that I know how many I've jumped back. So I want to get to that nearest 10 because those are really easy to count. So I'm at 40. So I took 14, take away 2, so I still have 12 left to go. So now I'm going to jump back. I know that if I have 12, that's the same as 10 plus 2. It's nice to get those easy 10s and 5s out of the way first because I can make bigger jumps with those. So 40, take away 10 more would get me to 30. And if I take away that last 2, that would get me to 29, 28. Now I'm going to double check to make sure that I jumped back enough. So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so I jumped back 14 inches that he was not tall enough for, and that gets me to 28. So Pablo was 28 inches tall. And our final answer, we need to write a sentence. So Pablo is 28 inches tall. Oh, little Pablo, come back later when you're tall enough. The last type of word problem that we're going to be encountering today is going to be when you need to multiply. So you're going to see the same kind of words that you might see if the problem wanted you to add normally, but you'll know that you can multiply instead of just regular adding because you'll see words like groups of or equal groups, which obviously signifies that it's going to be multiplication or division, but in this case today we're just going to be doing multiplication. You might see the word each or all together. So again, some words that sound like addition, but remember multiplying is just fast addition, so same thing. So in this problem, if I have 3 baskets of apples and each basket weighs 5 kilograms. How much do all 3 of my baskets weigh all together? Go ahead and figure that out. Press pause and then press play. I'm going to be using multiplication to help me solve this. I noticed right away that I have 3 baskets that equal the same amount, so that tells me I can multiply. So I have 3 groups of 5 kilograms, which would equal 15 kilograms of apples. And then I should write it always as a sentence when I'm done. So I'll write,
I have 15 kilograms of apples.
Let's go ahead and show this on the number line just because we've been using the number line for the other problems. How would you do this on a number line? Go ahead and see if you can do it at the same time that I am. So we'll start with our 0 and we'll add the first basket of 5, our second basket of 5. So now we're at 10, so we added 5 more. And now we're our third basket of 5, which leads us to 15. I'll put my tick marks there to keep my information organized. So we did 5, 10, 15. For tonight's final problem, flip those papers over and answer this one. Mario's birthday cake this year weighed 18 kilograms. Wow, that is a huge cake, girl. You must be having a party. Last year it weighed 24 kilograms. How much heavier was her cake last year than this year? Think about what kind of problem this is. Are you going to have to count up or add? Are you going to have to subtract, or are you going to have to multiply? Figure it out. Find me the answer. Put it on your paper. And I'll see your lovely, beautiful, handsome, amazing face tomorrow. Good night, third graders.